pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess for the last time, Karen, do you roll call please?
Sorry, she can't speak.
Mayor Watkins,
Present.
Vice Mayor Earl,
Present.
Councilman Johannes,
Present.
Councilman Reinhardt,
Here.
Councilman Khan.
Here. Public comments. Not seeing any. Karen, could you come over here, please? So, we would like to present this to you. 40 years, thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's real diamond.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Consent agenda. Brandon, you have anything?
Nothing on the consent agenda, but I'd like to remove item D, table that till next month.
For the new business.
For
correct?
new business,
Yeah,
yes, sorry.
okay.
Well, we're gonna have a D because we need to authorize
Okay.
Tricia for, signing an account,
Okay,
for bank accounts.
we'll have to make a motion for that, right?
Yeah, so we can put that as D.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope, you're fine. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make it.
Do we have support?
I support it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? New business. Brandon.
Fiscal year 2024 budget. In your packet, you have my budget and recommendation letter for the new fiscal year. The public hearing and adoption of the budget will be scheduled for your June meeting. Please note that the projected FY23 numbers will be completed prior to the budget adoption when we have a clearer picture of how we anticipate the budget year will end. The city is gonna receive a small rollback on the city's millage rate. The budget has a projected deficit of $413,000 as presented and a total of $1.75 million in expenses in the general fund. This includes the additional DPW employee and a fifth full-time police officer. The officer would add roughly $80,000 to the budget. It includes a $25,000 transfer from the general fund to the cemetery and $135,000 for local street maintenance and repairs and $50,000 for major street maintenance and repairs. It includes a 4.5% increase for employees. Are there any questions on the budget?
I don't know, that's a big number. The deficit there is a little scary to look at, to be quite honest with you.
Well, we normally have one really close to that about every year we come out ahead. Brandon's very good about budgeting high and expenses or income low, so I'm comfortable with it.
And again, that's what you're projecting right now, but
Yeah.
we'll have a better idea of that next month after we finish this year.
We'll have a better picture of the current budget, and if we're gonna have a deficit, which it might be a slight deficit, right?
Yeah, I'm working on those numbers now. It looks like a $200,000 deficit this year. We budgeted $263,000 last year for a deficit, not 400. So we might come in $63,000-70,000 better than we thought, but we're still gonna have a about $200,000 deficit. I mean, when all's said and done, the auditor's numbers are done, obviously that's my best guess, I'm gonna guess
Right,
high
correct.
on the deficit, but it's still gonna be right around there. So you're already gonna dip into your fund balance 200,000 approximately.
Right.
And like I said, we budgeted 268,000 last year deficit.
Well, and again, I read through that, I don't have the budget up here in front of me, what you had, but how much, if any, is in for the, consent order? I mean, we've gotta start thinking about some of that, don't we? I mean,
So, I have 1.4 million in there for the engineering, to cover the preliminary engineering. And that would all be paid with the bond anticipation note, which is the next item on the agenda. So basically for this year, this budget year would be, that money would be coming in and out. There wouldn't be any other expenses until the next budget year. Correct, Mike?
Correct.
And that's budgeted in wastewater. I was strictly talking general fund.
right, yeah. Yeah, I don't have any other questions. Anybody else?
I have a couple, just, and I know this is a preliminary budget, but in the maintenance and service contracts, that kind of tripled from what you're projecting for this year. We're on page 2. Have we added something big under service contracts?
So that would be, I budgeted high there for the cost to hire a planning consultant to do the master plan and zoning ordinance updates.
Okay, and I wasn't sure what, I know we talked about a lot of different things that are going in here, and I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so there's opportunity to get some grant funds to cover that,
So
cover some of it. So I guess low on what we might get for a grant, just to be safe, and then, yeah, overestimated expenses and underestimated.
I'd rather overestimate than underestimate.
Right, yep.
And then the only other thing I had was, I'm assuming that the buildings that we're talking about in there is the building fund that we talked about building, for future.
Yep. In the general fund, I believe, that building line item, yeah,
Okay.
put 50,000 in there to kind of build up a fund.
As we talked about. And that was the only two I had, I just wasn't sure on the service contract, what.
Yeah.
what we-
No, that's a good question.
Any other questions?
Think so. Can't talk much anyway.
No, we don't need to do anything on that, correct? We just-
Not until next month, or if you want me to eliminate something, or just let me know.
Not at this point, I don't think. The resolution authorizing issuance of bond anticipation note, resolution 23-5-4.
Thank you, Mayor Watkins. In order to fund, here's my spot here, the upfront engineering work for the project design, and to begin to address the inflow and infiltration, the city will need to take out a bond anticipation note, or a ban, in the amount of not to exceed $1.4 million. This project is, as you know, required under the city's administrative consent order with Eagle. The ban would be paid off when and if the city receives loan funds from either Eagle or USDA. This will likely take about a year. The ban will cover project expenses until we're able to draw down loan funds, and will be repaid by a loan from, as I mentioned, Eagle or USDA. So attached resolution in your packet needs to be approved. And once that is approved, the city will issue a request for proposals through our financial advisor for that note. We did have a discussion with one local bank, our bank, Sturgis Bank, and they're gonna definitely be betting on it. So I know we'll have some local interest. And the resolution will be further updated, just a lot of blanks to fill in there, like interest rates, things we won't know until we get the results from the RFP.
Any questions, concerns? We have a motion to approve the authorization of the issuance bond.
I'd make a motion to approve authorizing the issuance of a bond anticipation note, resolution number 23-5.
Support.
Sorry,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The Eagle Emerging Contaminants Assessment Grant.
Thank you, Mayor Watkins. The city was approached by Eagle about a grant to cover wastewater collection system sampling for PFAS. Also looking at seasonal impacts on sanitary sewer and how that affects PFAS concentrations, identifying sources, including the wastewater treatment plant, and flow monitoring at source sites. The work would attempt to identify potential contamination within the treatment plant and connect the collection system, and legacy or orphan sources of PFAS use in the city. Based on the sampling findings, CCTV of specific sections of main line or laterals would be conducted to evaluate PFAS source introduction into the sewer. PFAS entry minimalization methods would be reviewed to assist in planning for future investigation and mitigation efforts. With the state, they'll be lowering the limit for PFAS and biosolids dramatically. This would allow us to identify issues at the plant and potential other areas where we can work to reduce PFAS impact to our biosolids. Recently, our biosolids have tested at 81 parts per billion, 86.7, and 20 parts per billion. Those were all tests from 2022. In July of 2024, the biosolids limit is going to be reduced to 50 parts per billion and would have to be spread at a smaller rate when spreading it on fields. This sampling will help identify ways to reduce PFAS in our biosolids so that the city can continue to land apply these solids. Biosolids over the allowable limit would result in more contaminated solids that we basically don't know what to do with now already. And the state has not identified landfill locations that are willing to take those solids. The total grant amount would be $234,000 and would have no match required by the city. Some other things to consider is the additional staff time to oversee the project, potential cleaning and remediation of the treatment plant and collection system, and more time-consuming enforcement efforts if other sources are found. Talked with the city's environmental attorney, and he recommends going forward with the grant.
Now, the grant of 230, that's what we anticipated, or that's the full amount of this grant? And do we know what the total cost is that 234 the total cost?
I can answer that one. So there are 3 communities that were given a grant, out of 6 communities. You were specifically picked from Eagle for your biosolids. So they have $700,000 to divide the 3 of them, and so they're giving each of you guys $234,000. So it's flat off the board, there is no negotiation, that is the number. So what they're asking for right now is, 1, is an intent that you will accept the grant, and 2, a week from now, we have to write a scope plan equal to $234,000. So the project will be $234,000.
Okay.
We have to define the project What Brandon read was a very high level, 100,000-foot view. In the actual grant application they want to execute next week, it needs to be, they're brought down to that 10,000-foot view, which will outline the scope, the project, and the cost with that whole 234,000. So it's set. If there is no, it's not going up or down. That's what it is. So we have to put a project around that amount.
I guess, when you're saying other things to consider would be the additional staff time to oversee the project and that sort of thing, is that, I mean, stuff that we're gonna try to roll into that 234, or that's, we're gonna have that additional besides the 234?
We will be working through that this week to figure out what that, if, you know, some of that will be city time. A lot of it, I'm gonna guess, is gonna be sampling, actually PFAS testing and pulling samples. That's probably gonna be my best guess, is probably gonna be almost 40% of that project is just pulling samples around to try to figure out what's going on. The rest will be administration, trying to figure out, you know, where it's coming from, you know, data review and all sorts of other stuff. The other community that's getting the grant is Rockford, and I do not know the third community. We're actually doing the grant for Rockford also, for the new office. So Mark Prine from our Grand Rapids process group will be focusing on that project, and we'll be writing the scope with that in mind.
So basically, you gotta cover 234,000.
We gotta figure out how to spend 234.
Whether it's within the city part of it or.
Exactly. So, and I haven't seen that broken out.
Sure.
Actually, Rockford's was submitted, like, I think Friday, so I don't even know what their scope was, but it'll be modeled after that. It'll be a little bit different than Rockford. Rockford is, they're just trying to figure out where the PFAS is coming from in their system. Theirs is a much bigger system. They just don't even know what sources are. You guys have a much better feel of where your sources were coming from. Yours is mostly focused on the biosolids itself, to try to figure out how to get you in the limits for when the changes happen in 2024.
Now, and this is because of the issue we had with the PFAS before, that's why we were, I don't wanna say targeted, but is that, how did we get selected?
I'm not 100% sure. I know Brandon had some early conversations, because we were hoping it was gonna be a grant to actually dispose of PFAS. What it turned out was it was PFAS identification through like an emergency contaminant grant. From when we talked to the lady at Eagle, they only identified 6 communities that have elevated levels of concern that they're highly concerned with, and yours was the only ones in biosolids. So they particularly chose you just for that unique situation. The other, they didn't say what the other 5 communities are. I know Rockford was one in hindsight, but I don't know what the other ones were even considered. But I'm assuming there was some internal discussion with their program managers, their Eagle staff and such to hand select really what it was, who these communities were.
Refresh me, how high over were we supposed to be?
You were at 80, what did you say, 86, 81, and 23?
We tested, I think, 3 times last year, and 2 of the times we were above 80, and 1 time we were at 20.
And there was, she went into all these, Brandon kind of caught some of them, I didn't have my notes with me, but if you're over a certain level, like even today, you can't land apply. That's what you got caught in several years ago. If you were within a window, and I want to say it was over 100 before, but if it was, let's say just use for round numbers, let's say it was 100. If your biosolids are above that, you can't land apply. But if it was like 50 to 100, you could, but you can only do it at half the normal application rate. And if you were below 50, you were fine. Well, they're dropping those tiers drastically coming up in 2024. Actually, she said maybe by the end of 2023 those may apply. But I don't have my notes on how low those were going, but it was a significant reduction in biosolids.
So we were basically right up there where we were noticed.
Yeah, and I think that's why you were probably flagged is you probably aren't in that category right now, that you are gonna be problematic.
We've been recognized, so now.
So they're like, you guys gotta figure out where that's coming from before it becomes a problem.
Well, and then, read that there, that there's no way to get rid of it right now. So,
We're doing research into that right now with some particular landfills, trying to what to do with that. We do believe there will be some landfills that can take that stuff, but it's getting an understanding of what testing they need to be able to accept that, and about what quantities and water content and other items related to that.
perfect. Good explanation.
I guess it's good that we're recognized where we got 2 high.
Any other questions?
No.
We need a motion to apply for this, correct?
I'll make a motion to apply for the Eagle Emerging Containment
I got it,
Assessment
Rick.
Grant.
Don't talk.
I'll second. Do we have support?
I got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I better quit talking.
It's okay. I got you.
Okay, and then D was, what again now?
We need authorization for Tricia to be able to sign on all bank accounts and to take me off.
So we need a motion to.
I'll make a motion that we authorize Tricia to sign on all bank accounts and take Karen off ASAP.
Good move, good move.
Well,
Do we
I
have a-
won't have to
Do we have a
just like that.
second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? City staff comments.
So we have one more medically licensed person, Cheyenne Smith, just passed her medical first responder class. That puts us at 13 of our 24 firefighters being medically licensed and able to run medical calls. Have 2 more that are going from medical first responder to EMT. They're just finishing up right now. So that will be Ken Reinhardt and Kurt Byerly will be going to the next level up. We've gotten some good news in the last month. We received a $4,200 grant from AAA Traffic Foundation. We will be replacing our expired airbags. Airbags are used to lift vehicles and equipment when people are trapped underneath them. That was a 50% match on that one. We also received $8,200 from Branch County Men Who Give. We will be purchasing new thermal imaging cameras with that to replace some that are old and outdated. So, got some more grants on the horizon, and as a kudos to Brandon, I can tell you, I do a lot of small grants. It's a lot of work. So I know he's doing big grants, and I can only fathom the amount of work he's doing for that. So appreciate that.
And then you guys are moving along, it sounds like, from everything I've been reading on the satellite.
Thanks for bringing that up. If I skate out early, it's to go to a township meeting at Noble Township. I will be presenting the facts of our feasibility study, and the public has also been invited to give their input on it. If Noble decides to participate with this project and help fund it, then we will be bringing that back to the full fire board in June at the annual budget meeting for the entire fire board. I guess it's going around. Fire board to vote on the satellite station. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. I think that will be an outstanding project to help build south of town. And I would hope that someday, it may be a ways down the road, we can look at doing something up north too, between Madison and Batavia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve?
Meeting this month?
I'll do a quick update.
Yeah.
So your utility stuff, the SRF since your last meeting was submitted to the State Eagle for complying with your ACO by the June 1st deadline. So that's all in. We were waiting for SHPO responses. The State Historic Preservation was actually submitted today. We got all the information to that, so that has now been submitted for the USDA, the SRF, and the DWRF applications. So we should be hearing back from them, and then it can go to the tribal, and then that should clear everything for environmental, and we'll go up to that. The DWRF is due at the end of the month, so we will be, you've already authorized the resolutions for that over last month. We will incorporate the new SHPO submittal into that, and then have Brandon sign that and be shipped up to Lansing to the Eagle. The USDA, the documents have been prepped and have been loaded up into USD applied, and it's under review right now for USDA. There will be a newspaper that will be published for a notice of intent that you'll be applying for a USDA loan to match all of this information. And then once Paul reviews it, it can actually be submitted. We'll be working with you to get you a level 2 license, because it's all done with online, and a level 2 license just basically verifies who you say you are, really who you say you are. So you can digitally sign these documents, and also Tricia. Is it Tricia or Trish?
Either or.
She will also need to get a level 2 license. Currently Brandon and Karen both have them, myself, and but you will be required to sign it as mayor.
Okay.
For the document. So over the next few weeks, we'll do that. It's actually pretty painless. It's online to fill out the questions, but the questions only you would know.
Okay.
On that, the DWAM update for your water service, your lead service part, that is continued going forward. We have about a year left. We'll do a financial analysis in the last 6 months, including updating the CIP. That will also roll into what we find out with your LAM or your DWRF if you get loans and all that stuff. So hopefully that will be a much more tolerable capital improvement plan related to lead services on that. And then Joe has been working hard getting water service verifications inside the home. So we've been putting that data together, and probably get 1 more month, and then we'll have plumbers do 1 more pothole line session through the city, probably in mid-June, to do 1 more round of verifications out at the property lines, and then we'll just crank through and put the report together as best we can on that. So about a year out, and we'll be done with that grant and finalize that product piece.
Brandon?
A couple things, I just wanna say congratulations to Karen, and 40 years of dedicated service to the community, it's quite the accomplishment, and thank you for your service. I'd like to introduce Tricia Rozepka, she's our new clerk treasurer. Spent about 12 years in Quincy, in a similar role.
Very similar.
Welcome aboard, and that's all I have.
Well, day 1, and she's still here, so that's a plus.
She came back from lunch.
Don't scare her off yet.
She came back from lunch.
I forgot to tell her where it's a good place to go, she went to McDonald's.
Oh, council comments. Rick?
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. Karen, congratulations. Steve? You can't talk much, but that intersection has turned out to be good.
Good.
Everybody seems to be stopping. First, I caught a lot of slack about the 4-way, you know, and I said it had to be. And I have not had, or any of the neighbors that I've talked to said they have not had one problem.
Yeah, it seems to be working well.
Everybody seems to be stopping now and they're following what they need to do.
Yep.
So really, really thank you,
Glad to hear it.
because it was getting pretty out of hand, so thank you. And you said you got somebody in mind for a 5th officer, do you?
Not as of yet. I'm kind of waiting to see, if we can do that, and then
Well, that'd be nice.
obviously we're recruiting very, very hard to
You bet.
do that because we need the help.
You bet. And congratulations, Scott. You're doing a fantastic job getting these people aboard. It's a lot of work, I know. And Brandon, thank you for all you guys have done too. All your parents. I guess I'll quit talking now.
Now there's somebody that can't talk. I gotta get one last in, right?
Larry?
Okay, Brandon, kudos on the budget. I know that it's a little higher than we all wanted, but there's some pretty good reasons for it. And I know how well you are at trying to get it back to at least even, so, thank you. And Karen, because you both worked on it together. Trish, welcome aboard. Do I dare go into Quincy without having Brittany after me?
Well, that's questionable.
Yeah. Brandon, kudos to the boys on the DPW and wastewater for the recent water main break. Just pleased that they went through and sanitized the sewer or the water and all that. Seems like we've had a number of times that didn't get done, so I'm really happy about that.
I will pass that along.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Bill?
Congratulations, Karen.
Thank you.
Welcome, Trish. And good job, everybody else. I'm gonna keep it short.
Bill too.
Congratulations, Karen. I'm jealous. Welcome aboard, Trish. Look forward to working with you. Brandon, good job on the budget. I think all the things we've talked about are in there, and we'll just continue to work on it. Steve, good luck. We'll keep fighting for your 5th and getting that person here. Scott, great work. It's impressive that you're getting more and more people certified and fighting to get another firehouse outside of town. That's those are kudos, big kudos.
Thank you. Pass it along to the team.
And just thanks to everybody for all your hard work. It's a team event. That's all I got.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
You know, I don't have much more to say, everybody has pretty much said it. Karen, I am, I don't know how to say this, I don't know if I'm upset or not, you talked me into this and. So, no, congratulations, well deserved. Again, thanks for everybody for all the hard work that they do here. And one last thing is, school's gonna be out here in a few weeks. Kids are, darting through the streets now as it is with it warming up, so please just be careful and mindful as we're traveling throughout town. With that, do we have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make most of closed session.
I support.
All in favor?
Aye.